Okay everyone, welcome back to Guy in Game, and today I'm going to be reviewing the newest chapter of Deltarune, which is of course chapter 5. And just a big warning, this video will completely spoil the whole chapter, so if you haven't played it yet, I would recommend, wait until you have. Alright, getting into it, we'll just straight off the bat say, I think it was a good chapter, I did really like it. I think in a numerical rating, I would give the chapter an 8 out of 10 probably. I really did enjoy it. In terms of where it falls in comparison to the other chapters, I'd say probably for me it's like right bang in the middle. I'd say I preferred it over chapters 1 and 3, but it didn't quite match up to chapters 4 and 2 for me personally. And I'll get into why. So this review isn't just going to be pure glaze of the chapter. I do have some criticisms. I'm saying this as a Deltarune fan with love, but there's sort of like an echo chamber type situation within the Deltarune fandom, I find. Like, a lot of Deltarune fans are very averse to criticism and take any criticisms of the game as a personal attack, and that Toby Fox can do no wrong. And I just want to make it very clear, I'm a Deltarune fan, I really did enjoy this chapter, I just have some minor criticisms. But yeah, as opposed to my normal videos or reviews where I do all the good and then all the bad, I think I'll just sort of talk about a little bit of both as we go through. But to be honest, I'll start with the biggest positive of this chapter, which is absolutely the gameplay. The 2D platformer gimmick they introduced was just incredible. It worked really well. I really enjoyed it. And the puzzles were fine. They're fine. The enemies were pretty enjoyable this chapter. But definitely the highlight was the 2D sections, which is definitely the best gimmick of any chapter. And to be completely honest, I think this might be the best gameplay of any chapter. Like, we'll move on to the bosses. The secret boss, the Mew Mew fight, it's fun. Probably would fall lower down in my secret boss rankings, to be honest. It was a more light-hearted tone of boss, even if there was some serious messaging or whatever with the whole Ghost of a Lightner possessing Darkner, which I thought was very interesting. This chapter really did look at the sort of nuances to the Dark World and what happens when a quote-unquote living thing enters, like the Ghost of a Lightner or flowers, which are technically alive. So I thought the exploration of that was very interesting, and the fight itself, it was very, very hard, but it was quite enjoyable. But to be honest, I enjoyed the main boss of this chapter a lot, which was of course Flowery. I've seen a lot of people critiquing the difficulty of it, but to be honest, I think it was perfect. It took me about 3 or 4 tries, and I'm not, to be honest, I'm not great at the game. The secret boss took me like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was coming up on like 15 tries for the secret boss. But yeah, it took me 3 or 4 tries to beat him. I've seen a lot of people complain about the difficulty, which is like, I get it, kind of, but I don't know, I thought the difficulty made it really fun fight, and like, this is chapter 5. I think the yearly releases have made a lot of people forget that these chapters aren't standalone experiences. Ultimately, in the end, this is meant to be a cohesive and complete game, which will be 7 chapters in a row, so it makes sense as we get into the later chapters that it is going to get harder. Because this isn't just like a standalone game where, you know, you start from the start again and get back into it, get used to it. This is like, for the average player, probably like 15 to 20 hours into the game, so it makes sense that it's going to get harder. But yeah, I really did love the Flowery boss fight. The new soul mechanic was incredible. I really liked that. It was very unexpected. I was expecting them to maybe bring back Blue Soul this chapter, but I was shocked that they introduced Orange Soul, and it was a great mechanic. So yeah, really loved that. In terms of going more so into the characters this chapter, we'll start with the flowers. I did really enjoy a lot of them. Some more than others, like Orange I didn't find super interesting, but I really liked Yellow the cowboy, and I liked Aqua and Seth. I thought they were all good. Most of the flowers I don't really have any issue with, but to be honest, Flowery to me was a bit of an uninteresting antagonist. I don't know if it'd really even be right to call him a villain. He wasn't that bad. It wasn't even like an Atena where he gets redeemed sort of way. Like some of the things he didn't go about them in a great way. Like, he was sort of manipulative of Asgore, but he really was doing it for good reasons, I felt. And his relationship with Ralsei was interesting, but aside from that, I don't know, just felt like a sort of bland main villain. Well, I know I said I wouldn't use the word villain, but you know what I mean. Main antagonist of the chapter. And that's another thing. I think we were all expecting Asgore to be the boss of the chapter, and maybe it is for the better that they subverted that. So I honestly don't see a situation in which he would ever hurt Chris or fight Chris, unless he was literally mind controlled. So it's fine that he wasn't the final boss, but I think he honestly might have made a better secret boss than Mew Mew. If like he'd have a one-on-one with Ralsei. I don't know if it would be another training boss, because I think that happening right after Chapter 4 would be a bit too formulaic perhaps, and I think Toby wants to avoid that, which is why every chapter feels so different. But I don't know, the Asgore is one of my bigger issues with this chapter. Not that he was handled poorly, I do really like where he ends up at the end. I think his growth is good, but it just feels like it happens a bit too fast. Like, because his only real screen time in the chapter is sort of just his interactions with Flurry, where he's going along with it, and then a bit towards the end where he starts to get a bit more obsessive again over his notes. It just felt like for a chapter themed around Asgore, it really lacked Asgore, and I think a secret boss with him, where we get more on him, would have really helped in that. Like, to be honest, Asgore's probably one of, if not my favourite Undertale character. And like, to be honest, I was going into this chapter expecting to cry, because like I think he is a really tragic character in both Undertale and Deltarune. But I don't know, it never really evoked much emotion out of me, even at the end, which was kind of a shame. It just didn't really go anywhere you wouldn't expect it to. In terms of the main recurring characters, I know Asgore is a recurring character, but you know, shush. But yeah, in terms of the main characters, I thought they were all handled pretty well. I think Susie and the Wells relationship was great. I really loved the way it was handled, and that we're finally getting somewhere with that, you know. The entire festival segment was really good, especially, and now I'm going to be a bit of a LARPer here, I haven't played the Weird Route, but the Weird Route, so I'm not going to speak on it too much or really give my opinions on it, because I'm not qualified to, but I did think, just from looking at the cutscene, that the Weird Route in this chapter was incredible. It was really, really unnerving. But yeah, like I said, Susie and Noelle's relationship was great. The festival was a fun set piece, even if I was expecting the roaring to happen at the end of the festival or something, but it's subversive that it didn't, just because it's been building up to it for multiple chapters. I thought it might happen there. But yeah, I'm curious to see where they're going to go next. I honestly, like at the end of the last chapter, I was like pretty certain, like, okay, yeah, they're probably going to do Flower King next, but for this one, I really don't know. Like, it might be Shelter in Chapter 6. That would probably be the best guess. But to be honest, my crackpot theory has always been that the Roaring's going to be Chapter 6, and the Shelter will be, and the prophecy will end there. And then Chapter 7's going to be dealing with Chris's possession and the Gaster stuff, and that'll be the true finale of the game. But I mean, that's sort of looking less and less likely. I don't know if we're close to the Roaring happening yet. I mean, we must be, since it's the last two chapters, but you know what I mean. I don't know if it's going to happen at the start of Chapter 6, like it would need to for the whole chapter to be about the Roaring. So I guess it is probably more likely it'll be a Shelter next, but that's not really review stuff, that's theorizing, so I'm going to cap that off there. The ending of this chapter was kind of meh to me. I know I'm doing a lot of complaining, given I gave it an 8 out of 10, but just bear with me. But yeah, Asgore getting kidnapped, I get why it has to happen for plot reasons, you know, because he knows too much now, but like, I don't know, we've already seen Undyne getting kidnapped. There wasn't anything really new, it didn't really evoke anything from me. Flurry dying as well was kind of, him going up against the Knight was really cool, I'll give it that, but I mean, him dying was a little expected. And at the very end, I thought it was cool when Chris walked Susie home, but I mean, there wasn't really a big cliffhanger in this chapter, like there was in all the others. Like, chapters 1 through 3 all have incredible cliffhangers, and chapter 4 has a decent one. But this one didn't really feel like a cliffhanger at all, to be honest, except for the fact that they're going to bring Noelle to the Dark World, I guess. Which could very well be interesting, but again, it's not really leaving me with that, wow, I need more now feeling that the last few chapters did. And then finally, the soundtrack. I feel personally, again, I'm doing a lot of complaining given I liked this chapter a lot. Let me just make that very clear. I think this chapter is an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Don't kill me. But this soundtrack was still good, absolutely, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if it was other people's involvement or if it was just a bit of a not Toby's best run, but this chapter soundtrack did feel a bit weaker to me, even though it was still good, undoubtedly. If it was any other game, honestly, I'd even consider it great. But as it stands, I'd say it's probably the weakest soundtrack of the 5 chapters. That's not to say it's all bad, of course. I think it's called Setting of Seven Suns or something. That track, the area theme for the Cliffs, was incredible. And I did also like Flower Man's theme. It's probably the weakest boss theme, but I mean, it's still a Toby Fox boss theme, so it goes crazy. And I thought the lyrics were really good. And Mew Mew's boss theme was decent as well. I did like the Hatsune Miku sort of gimmick they had going there. But none of it really, in my opinion, measured up to the work of the last chapters in Undertale. And again, I don't know if that's because there was other people involved this time around, or if it was just not Toby's best work. I don't know, but yeah, maybe a slightly weaker point, but still good. So yeah, in conclusion, 8 out of 10. I really did enjoy this chapter. Like I said, probably right bang in the middle of my rankings. I feel like I've seen a lot of people say it's their favorite and teach their own, but it feels as the months go by, I think the recency bias is going to wear off, and people will be able to see that this isn't the best chapter in the game. It's also not a bad chapter, as I've seen some people saying. Absolutely not. I get why it feels a bit filler, but it was more character focused, and I think that's a fine thing to do, especially since the last two chapters were such lore heavy chapters, and we got so much information. So I think it's fine to do a chapter like this, but yeah. But anyways, that is my review of Deltarune Chapter 5. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll definitely be covering Deltarune Chapter 6 when it comes out. I don't know if it's releasing with 7 or not. But based off the Steam page, it looks like it's coming out 2027. I have a little theory about why they didn't say 2027, and it's not big enough to get its own video, so I guess I'll just say it here. I think the reason they didn't say 2027 in the credits is because they're not certain of it. But I actually don't think it's because they think it might release in 2028, as some people have been saying, given that in the newsletter Toby said progress was going great on it, and it's a smaller chapter. I honestly think there's a they call me crazy. I think there's a tiny chance it releases in like December. I think that might be a possibility, and that's why Toby didn't want to say 2027 solidly. But again, I don't know. I feel like if there was a chance it could release at the end of this year, he'd just say 2027 anyway and release it in like January if he needed to, because then we could still have a solid, sort of time frame to look forward to. And or if it was that close to completion, he might have just waited and released chapters 5 and 6 together. So there's a lot going against my little theory, but I don't know. I thought I'd share it, see if there's anything to it. We'll see by next year, I suppose. But yeah, that'll be everything. I hate to be a beg, but please like and subscribe. I really need it. I have like one subscriber. But yeah, thank you for watching.